All right, back up in the basement. So last time we went over the offers and the power of the offer. We talked about restatement 24, what is an offer. Talked about restatement 36, the methods of termination of the power of acceptance. And so when the power of acceptance, after the offer gives an offer, when that can kind of be revoked or be ended. Restatement 43. This is, revocation by reliable information that the offer is no longer there. Restatement 58 was kind of the terms set by the offerer, and 59, which just kind of verifies that acceptance on terms is just a counteroffer. And so now we're going to go over into the power of acceptance. And, just now we kind of talked about the offerer, right? That was a lot of the offer kind of offer focus. But now we're, talking about the acceptor in this duel. Okay. So Restatement 50, the power of acceptance, and the language of Restatement 50, formation acceptance. Subsection 1, acceptance of an offer is a manifestation of assent to the terms thereof made by the offeree in a manner invited or required by the offer. And so, my annotation here is acceptance is manifestation of assent if done by the way the offerer wanted it to be done. And so, for instance, the example here, it has to be reasonable. It has to be kind of like obvious that you agree to it. And similarly to 58, if the offer says that I need it in writing, or I need it over email, I need you to call and tell me, right? Then, right, it satisfies not only 50, but also 58. But anyway, subsection 2, acceptance by performance requires that at least part of what the offer requests to be performed or tendered, and includes acceptance by performance, which operates as a return promise. And so, in other words, partial performance of what the offer is asking. And so this is the instance where a offer is on the condition of like a service. For instance, if I say I will give you this car, my used car, if you clean my yard for the next year. And so, after a month of cleaning my yard, right, partial performance, starts the act of acceptance. And so we're actually going to talk about kind of like partial performance and whatnot a little bit more later. Subsection 3, acceptance by a promise requires that the offeree complete every act essential to the making of the promise. And so, again, this also is very similar to subsection 58, where whatever the offer had said, you have to do it. Okay. I even made a note right here. Must align to 50 and 59. Next one is going to be section 60, acceptance of offer must state time, place, and manner of acceptance. The language of this one is if an offer prescribes the place, time, or manner of acceptance, its terms in this respect must be complied with in order to create a contract. If an offer merely suggests a permitted time, place, and manner, then other ways to accept are not prevented. And so similarly to like other situations I had just said, buy this car, meet me at the park at 8 p.m. Bring $2,000 in cash, and I need them all to be, $10 bills. Okay. The acceptance has to comply with all that, right? Now, if the offer in this instance says it needs to be this, then it has to be this. But if the offer in this instance says it, it, um, I'd prefer $2,000 in tens, then that doesn't necessarily mean you're required. It's just a suggestion, and so other means are not precluded. So you could theoretically in that time bring, Benjamins instead of Hamiltons. You know what I'm saying? Next is section 29, to whom an offer is addressed. And the language of this one, the manifested intention of the offer determines the person or persons in whom is created a power of acceptance. And so, in other words, the offer kind of in this ball of the offer, right? The offer kind of intends to give it to a certain person, and so whoever the offer intends to give it to, let's say I give this offer, this offer, offer, and I'm looking at, Frank over here, Frank. And Frank, and maybe I have a relationship with Frank, and I go, this when I said I didn't say Frank, but I in every intent meant to give it to Frank, then the power of acceptance only goes to Frank. It doesn't go to, Timothy over here. Subsection 2, an offer may create a power of acceptance in a specified person or in one or more of a specified group or class of persons acting separately or together, or anyone or everyone who makes a specified promise or renders a specified performance. And so, in other words, an offer can kind of give acceptance to groups of people, or they can give it to several people, or individual people, right? Yeah, it's not barred from that. Moving on, section 30, form of acceptance invited. An offer may invite or require acceptance to be made by an affirmative answer in words or by performing or refraining from performing specified acts, or may empower the offeree to make a selection of terms in acceptance. In short, the offerer can say, well, you can accept by just saying it to me, or you can accept by doing something for me, or you can accept by not doing something, right? Or the offer can give options. So like, hey, you could do it this way. Okay. 2 is, unless otherwise indicated by the language of the circumstances, an offer invites acceptance in any manner, in any medium reasonable in the circumstances. In other words, if they don't expressly say how they want the acceptance to be in what form, then acceptance can kind of be in your, like, you have an option of how you accept as long as it's reasonable. Okay. Section 32. There's a lot of man. Throat, man. Dehydrated. 32, invitation of promise or performance. And so the language of this section, in case of doubt, an offer is interpreted as inviting the offeree to accept either by promising to perform what the offer requests or by rendering the performance as the offeree chooses. So if there's ever a doubt as to like what the mode of acceptance is, then either, you can choose words or performance. And so, I mean, choose words, just choose words. Section 35, the offeree's power of acceptance, language for number 1. An offer gives to the offeree a continuing power to complete the manifestation of mutual assent by acceptance of the offer. In other words, a manifestation of mutual assent when you accept. So when you accept, right, when you give the acceptance, it's agreement that y'all accept. I was gonna say meeting of the minds, but you don't say that because it doesn't exist. And a contract cannot be created by acceptance of an offer after the power of acceptance has been terminated in one of the ways listed in 36. 36, if you recall back here, was the revocation kind of things. And so what 35 is saying is it's just kind of affirming that if some action is done in 36, then power acceptance is gone. And then the last one is section 63, when, so that's the language of time when acceptance takes effect, unless the offer provides otherwise. Okay, so unless it's explicitly stated, then we assume an acceptance made in a manner and by a medium invited by the offer is operative and completes the manifestation of mutual assent as soon as put out of the offeree's possession, without regard to whether it ever reaches the offer. Okay, so in other words, for one, it says, if you accept in whatever form or medium you chose, right, then it becomes mutual assent. Okay, and in the language of number one also says without regard to whether the offerer on the other side like even heard it or got it, right? But it includes a but, right, an acceptance under an option contract is not operative until received by the offerer. So if it's an option contract, which we'll talk about later in more detail, right, then the offer needs to know that you accepted it or are doing some kind of performance for it. And so you kind of see these two. Okay, we're going to get rejection of offer and counter offer in the same video. Stay tuned.